You go get your LLC or your S corp, and you get the name of the company, and you advertise, and you won't find anyone to give you an opportunity to serve them. That
All
is a
right.
big fear.
Will, great to have you on the pod. Thanks for joining the From the Trenches podcast from a guy like yourself who's about to get in these trenches. We're just going to remember that we are just having a chat, just no agenda, no pitching, nothing like that, no formal presentation. Just two guys sitting in the coffee shop, getting to know each other, talking the business of MSP. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, outstanding. So from our previous conversations, I'm just going to let everyone know that the dirty little secret, you're about to do the craziest thing in the world and jump into this MSP world or this IT solution provider world. Why the hell are you doing that?
Well, basically, I've been doing this IT thing for the past 30 years, and I just feel like it's time for me to put my value in the marketplace when it comes to IT and cybersecurity.
Okay. And what's your background in IT that makes you feel like you've got some awesome value to deliver?
First, I started off in the Navy. I did telecommunications, where I learned telecommunications, obviously, encrypting data, just making things communicate together. Then I got out of the military, and where I went to a technical college where I started off in Novell engineering, as a Novell CNE. So, 30 years, I just wanted to just add value, and I just see some opportunity there to start a company and to grow it and to just put my touch, if you will, on the IT/cybersecurity industry.
Sure, sure. That's good. And I'm going to press on this a little bit. We don't know each other all that well. I'm a nice enough guy, but I like to tease and press on things a little bit. So, government worker, correct?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, some double digit GS, after that, making a good living. And what it sounds like is you are needing to scratch this itch of, I want to create something. This is what I'm really good at. I think, people could benefit from my take on it. But it sounds like you have an entrepreneurial itch that needs to be scratched as much as anything. Is that on point or not really?
Oh, that is exactly on point. Going back a little bit, Josh, I felt a little empty inside, and you hit the nail on the point. I do have a creative spirit, an entrepreneurial spirit, and I know I'm a leader. I know I have experience, and I like to share that experience with someone, not just with the people who will eventually work for me, but the people I feel like will be my clients and my customers. They obviously need guidance, and I believe my company that I'm creating can provide that guidance when it comes to protecting their data, their own customers, and their business, because it's a bad world, if you will, out there, and there are a lot of bad cyber actors who will take advantage of some new people who are starting a business who don't understand cybersecurity and what are the risks. And I believe I can help out my future clients by adding value to them.
All right. Now, listen, that's my job isn't here to judge the genuineness of the things you say, but that sounded very genuine to me. I can tell you mean that and you feel that. Let's find out how naive you are.
Okay.
All right, because we got the business, we got the craft, the what you do, and you are clearly an expert, and people will benefit from it. What are some of the fears that come along with, I'm about to start a business? What do we know about the dog eat dog world of owning a business? What are some of the things that kind of come to mind of like, ooh, that's going to be challenging?
Well, it's already kind of happened. When it comes to some clients, okay, I'll just say it. There's some people who, they want your information, they want your intelligence, they want your help, but they're not willing to pay you. They'll have a conversation with you and take your solution, and you won't hear from them. That actually has happened.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So that's a great fear. Another fear is, am I going to find the right client? Am I going to find the person who, not only unfortunately, who has the money, but who has a problem, and who will give me the opportunity to actually help them out. That's a greatest fear about, you start in a business, you go get your LLC or your S corp, and you get the name of the company, and you advertise, and you won't find anyone to give you an opportunity to serve them. That
All
is a
right.
big fear.
That I really like those answers, and those are very much in the category of sales, right? That person who's gonna listen to you and appreciate all the wisdom you're dropping on them, and but they don't really want to pay for it. That's going to be an interesting moment for you, because that really comes down to what kind of salesperson are you, right? Because it's a very well-worn path to say, how do I get their attention, their interest, their decision making, without what David Sandler, a sales guru, would say, spilling all your candy in the lobby. How do you, or eating all your candy in the lobby before the movie even starts? It's how do I, demonstrate to you that I'm an expert, demonstrate to you that I care about your business, and get enough confidence in you, the prospect, that you're going to say, yeah, let's do it, without me feeling like my only trick in my sales bag is to give them the solution to all their problems.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's something, frankly, as a consultant, which you are also a consultant and will be even more so as you develop this business, leaning too heavily on the knowledge that you have as your party trick to closing deals. Because it's going to work every once in a while, but more often than not, you're going to get exactly what you've experienced a couple times already, which is, this guy just wanted to talk. I gave him all these great ideas, and he doesn't want to pay for anything. You'll get over that really quick. Your sales skills are going to, hockey stick develop.
Okay.
Let's stay on that sales piece for a little bit. What is your attitude or your take on sales and how you're going to grow this business?
So I feel, as the CEO of the company and owner of the company, I think it's really important for me to be the salesperson. After reading a few books, I learned that the CEO is a salesman. We sell our sobers, we sell the product, we sell our capability. We go out and meet people, and naturally, I'm an introvert. But in this business, in this line of business, if I want to grow my company, I have to be opposite of that. I have to be willing to go out and talk to people and learn what are their needs, what are their requirements. So I'm learning, to be a salesperson essentially, and then I need to bring on IT people to do the IT solutions, but I need to sell the company. Period. That's
Right.
simply said.
Have you been reading some books on selling?
Yes, and being a key influencer person, that's why I'm reading a book now. I don't want to say what it is, but I am reading a book on how to be a key influential person, regardless of your industry. It talks about how to meet people. You should create a podcast, you do a blog, and write down your mission statement and learn to don't tell people, oh, you have an IT company. Tell them, you have an IT company, but how you can help them and the problems you can solve, and even give them a history of your knowledge. But also, sales is about allowing the customer, your future customer, to speak, so you can get an understanding of their requirements.
Oh, that's it, man. That's it. I don't know what this mystery book is, but it's getting you on the right track here. Let's take a moment to kind of layer in a little bit of some sales talk. So I want your take on this. It's widely understood that the order of selling is, I sell myself first, company second, goods and services last. And oftentimes we, as our folks watching this, MSPs or other businesses that have a very deep subject matter, it's very comfortable to do the opposite. Let me figure out your needs and let's talk about the solution. And we skip the selling the company and selling ourselves. So that's just 101. And as basic as that is, we all struggle to remember that order. So tell me, how does that align, that order of selling, self, company, goods and services last? How does that align with what you've been studying so far?
It lines truthfully with it. I mean, Like I said, the book tells you to, create a podcast, write a book, try to get known and get followers so that, you do become likable. And then selling the company, the team that you built and how you work, together and selling that product. You're buying a team essentially. Myself and my capability, the team that I'm building, and our attitude, and then sell our products. So that does align truthfully with what I've been finding out, doing some research on selling.
Good, good. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm happy to shout out some books, and I think a book that everyone should read at some point is Ask Questions, Get Sales by Stephen Schiffman. He is a guru of sales, and it's all about, it's very similar to what you're talking about, giving that prospect an opportunity to talk and being able to find the right questions. We don't have to come in with every answer. We got to come in with the best questions to get them curious, interested, and confident in who you are. So good on you. Who are you looking to sell to? What kind of, we can sell to government, we can sell to small business, we can sell to enterprise. Where are you kind of gravitating towards right now?
So I was reaching for the stars in the beginning, but I started to say I'm going to focus on my local community and just build a base and build experience. As far as when it comes to selling and taking care of clients and being a key influence person. So that's what I started with now. But the goal is to just sell to any small business, someone who may have 4 to 10 to 15 to 20 computers that need some type of cybersecurity protection, daily patching and updating, right, and also managing. So small business, that's where I'm starting at. That's my focus.
So you seem like a very intentional, thoughtful person. And when we think about that 20 user and under environment, which I personally love, a lot of folks, I want 50 users, I want 100 users, go have it. I love the 20 user and under, and here's why. They really need you. They're underserved, and they are so easy to relate to business. Hey, you're talking about a 20-person environment. Seems big to where we are today, but that's a $4 or $5 million service business. That's not huge. They don't have a massive IT budget. They need you. And they're likely working, if they're in the game at all, they're already likely working with an MSP. If I'm picking up what I think I'm hearing you say is you're here to focus on the security aspect of the environment, not so much the networking and end user piece, or are you looking to do both?
No, it's a security,
Yeah.
what I am talking to and finding that if your client says, okay, we need the security, yes, but do you also provide other services as well? Because it's simple to have one solution, or you go to one person, one company, and say, you can be my managed security service provider, but also can you handle IT needs? Because one phone call can handle one situation instead of calling multiple people that may be there or not. So I am finding that it's all included. But my focus is on the cybersecurity, but I've bringing on someone who does the IT. I actually I have someone who's a security plus.
Nice, nice. I think I don't think there's a right answer or a perfect or right answer hasn't really been discovered yet in the industry of MSP, MSSP. Should I just be one or the other? What do the clients want? So I think you've just radar missiled right into the crux of the matter right now to say, in fact, I had another guest on this that their belief was, I don't think the MSSP should also be the MSP. I think that's a conflict. I think the MSSP should be there to protect the network, communicate and co-manage alongside the MSP but keeping those separate. Like that was their take on it, which somebody else can tell me something opposite. And I'll say that sounds reasonable too. So I don't think there's a great right answer there. Have you considered that kind of positioning of should those be separate from a practical or just security standpoint versus it's okay for them to be the same people? What's your take on that so far?
So my take on it is you need to be able to do both because you're not going to go and install a router or switch and then tell me you know nothing about, cybersecurity or securing that router or switch or having access control list or installing a firewall. That is part of cybersecurity and IT. You need to be able to do both, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I think you're on to it. I think that feels really right to me. And I think knowing that you're really security forward and being able to also take on and willing to take on the MSP side, well, that makes that prospecting really interesting. You're talking to that stranger and saying, "Hey, this is what we do. How can we be of service to you?" And they say, "Oh, we already have an IT provider." Well, that's a pretty hard objection to overcome. It's really not that hard, but it'll feel hard. But if one of the tricks in that tool bag is, hey, that's great, a majority of the people we talk to already do, this is how what we do is different, we should definitely chat. Like that cold caller, that communication becomes much easier when you say, yep, glad to hear you already have an MSP. This is what else we do. We should definitely chat. And I hope that you keep that MSP because we're really here to augment something different. I think that plays really nicely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. That does play real nice.
That works. That works. All right. Okay, so let's stay on sales just a little bit more. What is a day in the life of a CEO salesperson look like as you imagine, the next 90, 120, 360 days?
Well, right now, I'll tell you what I'm doing, and I'm hope to expand on it. I'm networking with other businesses
Okay.
that actually need a person like me.
Right.
They have their own businesses. They don't specialize in cybersecurity. They're looking to move forward and doing some type of proposal to local county or a government entity, and they need someone like myself who can speak the language when it comes to cybersecurity. Like I said, they specialize in other aspects of technology, and I come in with the cybersecurity added value.
Right.
Yeah.
So some networking is definitely part of your life now and what you'll continue to do. What else gets bucketed into that sales role as the
Okay.
CEO?
Okay. So, and I'll take it a step further from that. So the networking, then you meet the people who actually need your help. And I've got one individual who told me, "Hey, Will, um, who's your ideal client?" So I'm actually trying to draw that up, and he says he meets, at least 100 businesses in a month, and he said, "Tell me your ideal client, and I can pass these individuals on you with you." So it's taking network, a step further. Just don't meet people and put their business card on your desk, and dream about it. You actually got to do something. That's so my goal is reaching out to individuals, a certain amount of individuals. I mean, number wise, per month. And that's so, the law of averages, you may ask 10 people and three may say yes. So that's what I'm looking at is, how do I growth? What is my growth possibility and what do I have to do to generate those leads and then convert those leads? That's
Yeah.
where I'm at. That's where I see myself in the next 90 days.
Love it. Love it. And there's a lot to that. Here's my thought for you. Don't think about how many people can I talk to in a month. Think about how many people I can talk to in a day.
Okay.
And then once you get that really in your mind, think about how many people can I talk to this morning. A month seems so natural, right? But a month is a long time. And that sales component, what we've observed so much is that people kind of put it off. I've got something else to do. I'm going to get to the sales stuff later today, later this week. Okay, next week I'm going to go for it. If you make that sales piece part of your early routine, early on in this venture to say, hey, turns out every morning I try to talk to 5 strangers. However I get that done, that's my goal, and it's a non-negotiable. Boy, your life's going to be a lot different. I assure you that.
Okay. All
Oh
right.
yeah,
I'll take that.
I love the month. Keep breaking it down into smaller and smaller units. The other thing that comes to mind is, and I'll share this with you, and I've shared this, hundreds of times, but I think people always, appreciate being reminded of this. And any asshole, anybody who's not an asshole, can get to $1 million in revenue. And it's so true, because what we've observed, and that's why 85% of all the IT solution providers, all the MSPs in at least North America, are right at $1 million or a little under or a little over. 85. If somebody wants to tell me 90%, I'll believe it. They're all there. And the evidence, the rationale behind that is owners of IT firms are generally pretty friendly guys. Majority would describe themselves as more introverted than extroverted, but they have a big enough network of people, and that network of people has a big enough network of people that $1 million tends to be about the value of that network.
Okay.
And it all doesn't come at once. It comes over the course of anywhere between 2 and 8 years. You're probably not going to get to $1 million in 2 years. If you don't get to $1 million in 8 years, you got to kind of ask, am I an asshole? Because Josh said, as long as I'm not an asshole, I'll get here. Well, it's probably true. You might be kind of not a fun guy, but you will find that in your first few years, or you'll tell me if you find, I think you're going to find that a majority of your clients are no more than 2 degrees separated from you.
Oh,
Oh, my
okay.
insurance guy introduced me to one of his clients. There's our 2 degrees, right? I go to church with this guy, and his brother-in-law owns a company that needed IT. Most people's value, dollar value of all that is about $1 million. So what we find is getting to the million, you don't have to be super intentional about sales to get there. If you are intentional about sales, you'll get there a lot quicker. And
Okay.
once you hit that million mark, now it takes some real intention, because you've kind of squeezed the value, not in a bad way, of that 2 degree network of yours. So getting to the 2 million, you got to be even a little more intentional. So if you started early, even better. To get to that 3 million and above, that's typically where, if you didn't find a love for or a massive enthusiasm for selling, that's when we definitely have to start bringing in some salespeople to help us get there. You understand what I'm
Okay.
telling you?
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
love that you're being intentional about how you're going to grow this thing. Because a lot of folks, they want to, but they never quite feel comfortable enough to really make a go out of the sales piece themselves.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Very
Yeah,
good. How do you?
that's good knowledge. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully that is. Hopefully that's some insight for you. And a lot of this is descriptive, not prescriptive. Just because I'm sharing this doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. It's usually just me describing what's happened. So it's never like this inevitable thing of, oh gosh, Josh said it's really hard to do this and this and this. No, it doesn't have to be. Just that's the way it pans out a lot of times.
Okay.
All right, so we're reading some sales books. We have an idea that we know we're going to have to network and talk to some strangers every month, every day. That's some real insight, man. I love that. What do you envision, just thinking of the tool set a little bit? I always think it's a really tough thing to say, I'm starting an MSP. I know or an MSSP. I know there's a bunch of tools that the industry uses. When do I get those? How do I decide when the right time is? What's kind of going to be your approach towards kind of your tool stack?
So the tool stack was a huge jump for me, because I remember, debating internally, do I buy this remote management and monitor tool, and that was a big jump because it's a big leap of faith, and I knew it was going to be, okay, once you buy this tool and you have access to it, now you've got to learn it. And not only do you have to learn it, you have to be proficient at it so you can know it and of course sell that. So I just jumped in and I went ahead and I signed the paperwork and I bought a remote monitoring management tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one tool. Also, I bought a customer relation tool, a CRM,
Yeah.
you know, and so asking, looking around, I found a very inexpensive one,
Yeah.
35 a month. But actually, that tool is actually helping me, grow my company because I'm managing a process. I've got an intern that's installing some Linux servers, and I'm managing that process with him using this tool. So
Nice.
sometimes you just have to have the faith. You have your intent and what you want to do, but I jumped in and I just did it. And you do have to just assess, can I afford it? Because you don't want to sink the boat already and you don't have any clients. You want to make sure you can afford to last a while and you don't want to go into debt, buying the tool. But man, that is just, that's open ended because you really just don't know. But you need to move forward, but you need to move forward with a little faith. But I like to say mitigate the risks as much as
Yeah.
you possibly can.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's what you'll find and what you'll maybe even in your current experiences, this industry loves their tools, and people love myself included. I love a shiny object. Oh man, that tool looks so much better than what I have. My life will be so much better. And being outside the MSP space, getting this direct line of view in, it's like if I talk to 10 different MSPs in a week, all 10 of them are swapping some tool out. It's really funny to be on one call and somebody telling me what a piece of shit Enable is and how they're moving to some Kaseya solution. And the next call, somebody's telling me what a piece of shit Kaseya is and they're moving to Enable. It's like, man, I wish you guys could all hear each other all the time. And it's like all that's happening is all these tools are getting rich off of swapping licenses with each other and charging onboarding fees. So I think, taking that really prudent approach of why do I want this tool? What's the return going to be? Is this the best solution for me today that I can afford? Or is this the best solution that I'm going to be able to carry forward for 5, 10 years? Because that swapping the tools gets so expensive and so noisy. I'm sure.
I imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people are jealous, thinking, "Man, he's got a clean slate. He gets to build everything from scratch right now." As a
Yeah.
lot of people are stuck with some tools they wish they weren't stuck with.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if I can say the name of the tool,
Of course.
yeah, so I use ConnectWise and they've treated me really well in my opinion, and I like the tool, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, so the people have been really nice. I really like the tool. It's very capable. And of course, and your company helped onboard me and helped me set everything up. So I like it. I'm actually happy.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think if you just, I think we could bring 100 MSPs together, and half of them are going to say why it's terrible, half are going to say why it's okay, and the other third half that doesn't exist is going to say why it's awesome. So it's a lot about your mindset. We find ourselves, even though we make a living on helping people with their tools, a lot of times it's getting that mindset that the tool doesn't matter. Right? It's all about your process around it, your how you're approaching the functionality of the tool. Because someone else is making that other tool work just as fine as you're making yours work. So it's a very odd conundrum to be in,
Okay. Okay.
because it's not over engineering your stack, not swapping the stack out too much, and then not blaming the stack. As the tool is just the tool. How are you showing up? And it is typically the ultimate question there.
Right.
All right. So we got our stack. We understand how we're going to sell. Tell me a little bit about hiring. You mentioned that you had somebody already on the team doing some work for you. What's going to be your approach through this first year or two of We're going to 1099 a bunch of people. We're going to W-2 people. We're going to find services. What's kind of your angle, your approach here?
Okay, so going back a bit, like probably about a year and a half, I was able to, I'm very resourceful. So if anybody listens, they can use this, my ideas as well. So I started off by at the local community college. So yeah, so I was able to get a free intern to and bring this person on. They earned some college credits. They didn't, of course, they didn't get paid, but this person was learning from myself and a business partner, cybersecurity. Learning some things about firewall, learning some things about Cisco. My other business partner, he is a Cisco expert. Yeah. So and that person worked for free, and then actually in the state of Virginia, there's this program called VTOP. It is a program, and I think other states have it. It's where you sign up for it, small business. You go through go through a training, and the state of Virginia will match the funds that I'm paying this individual. So I brought this individual on. So I was paying him, let's say $8 an hour, and Virginia matched $8, so he was making $16 an hour working with me. And now that person is on their second year of working with me. Yeah, and so he's learning. He's learning, and he has his associate's degree now.
Nice.
And that's also with the Linux admin. He's a computer science major. Yeah, knows how to code. So, I've got some future products, some IT products that I will, that I have in mind that I'm not going to talk about, but eventually, the world's going to hear about them. So I've
Nice.
got a Linux person doing some coding and some configuring on a Linux Ubuntu server. So we're doing some developing, and
Wow.
also we're there helping some other businesses who have some needs. And like I said, I'm doing the cybersecurity part of a partnership, if you will. So that's what I'm doing with bringing on individuals. So try to be, my advice to everybody, try to be resourceful, even though you don't have the money, just ask yourself, how can you? Don't say you can't, but how can you accomplish this? So be resourceful.
Yeah, how can you? I like that. And what is for the VTOP? I imagine V stands for Virginia. What's the TOP?
Oh, tuition, forgive me,
Okay, that's fine. It
yeah.
doesn't mean technical. So
No, it can be any, like I can hire a business major.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's explore that for a second. So, earlier what you said of the CEO is a salesperson. We've got to be able to sell. Um, I wonder if you could use that program to hire somebody in a sales domain. And how what that oftentimes looks like for owners is we hire somebody, we train them to do nothing but try to set appointments for you. So they're going out there knocking on doors, making the phone calls, saying, "Hey, this is who we are. You got to meet with Will. Will's amazing technically. We're a cybersecurity expert. We help companies do that. Can I set up a time for you and Will to meet?" If you could get somebody in that kind of program that's willing and interested in doing that, shit, you'll be so far ahead of the races, man. It'd be insane.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's what I was trying to get at was, is it just a technical program that Virginia has? It's just
Nope.
getting people employed, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is there a cap on how much you can do?
I've never explored that. They never said anything about cap on how much you can pay.
How about it, how many people you could get on?
Oh, four. You can only have four.
Damn, dude. I'd be pegging that out. Yeah, that is very resourceful. I've heard of similar programs like that, but I forget about it. In my own business, I'm like, we're incorporated in like 11 states. Surely at least one of those states has something like that. We
Yeah.
should be trying to figure out how to
Yeah,
bridge
yeah, it is helped out, and like I said, I wouldn't have known it if had I not gone to the local community college,
it. Yeah.
brought the one intern on, and then the individual who was responsible for interns actually sent me an email one day and said, "Hey, Will, I got this program, and here's some training for you," and it was easy from there. So I feel very blessed to be able to have that opportunity.
That's so crazy. Of the 500 regrets I have every year, one of them is, God dang it, another year goes by. You didn't go down to the community college and meet some people and figure out how to get in the internship game. As we've got, probably like you, we've got a couple amazing community colleges here in the Chicagoland. Those kids need it. I need it. Why am I not getting down there and doing it? That's very motivating to hear that you've done that.
Yeah, and it does allow you to, even if you can't bring them on, it does allow you to be a mentor to someone,
Yes.
So, because when I was going to Trident Technical College down in Charleston, South Carolina, some people took me under their wing and helped me, and I greatly appreciate that. So I like to give and help other people and be a mentor to them. It makes me feel good. Like I said, 30 years in one field, I feel like, I've got some love to share.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's awesome. That's really really cool, and I'm just really fascinated again by this lifelong government worker coming out after so many years saying I'm starting a business. I always imagined it's like, man, if I did 30 years in the government, I'd be done, collect that pension, and go hang out somewhere. And here you are saying, no, I got more to give. I like that.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
cool. Well, very nice. Well, let's keep going into this kind of stress test of your business readiness. You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. So sales, we can learn it. You've got your own challenges that you've identified there. Your subject matter expertise is already there. Let's talk a little more business. How much thought, or tell us about the thoughts you've had around how do you package what you're going to be offering?
You
How
know,
do you
I,
figure out that pricing riddle?
yeah. So, you know, you know, I'm gonna be, frank. I'm still learning how to do that. I know I'm a business owner. I know I've got a plan, but when it comes to packaging, what I know or how much to charge, I'm still learning. Going out there, it seems like in talking to people, it's a race to bottom. How much or how less can you do this great thing for me? So I'm still learning, the circles around that. Maybe I'll, watch a couple books online or audio books or talk to some people
Sure.
about that.
Sure. All right. Well, then we're gonna because I've done what I've done now for 20 years, and I can have the same conversations with a super smart owner that I had with them in 2008. I can have that same conversation I had with him in 2008, meet him again, have the same conversation. So everyone struggles with this to some degree. Okay, and I'm shouting out my buddy Ivan because I always bust his balls on this. I met him in 2008, and I remember saying, "This is how you price your hourly rate. This is how you price your managed services." And okay, cool, got it, Josh. Intermittent communication. 2 weeks ago, he's on a different one of our series that we do, and he asks a question in the chat. How do you price that? And I'm like, Ivan, I fucking told you in 2008 how to do that. Don't come out here asking this again. So we're going to take this moment. So Ivan will watch this and he'll get this lesson a third time, and maybe you'll pick up something fun with it. Sound good?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. So the first thing to consider when you're going through this journey of pricing is you have to think about, what do I ultimately want to get paid at the end of however I got there per hour. Now, a lot of people are going to comment and say, oh, well, you don't sell hours of time, you're not trading time for money. Bullshit. All right. Ultimately, whatever you're doing, you will spend time doing it. Whether you're doing a project, that's time based. Whether you sell some sort of recurring revenue contract, you will put time into that contract. Therefore, it comes down to, what kind of hourly rate do I want to effectively realize at the end of it? You understand what I'm telling you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So if that's true, which you'll hear me say that's true, and I think people will agree, then we have to think, well, what's my time worth? Okay, and that's where it gets a little tricky for everyone. So we have to do some presumptions a little bit. So if we presume that a level 2 average wage today in 2025 is $80,000 a year, that's what people would be expecting to get paid or more. Make sense so far?
Yep.
So we're going to come at this from a cost basis on how to set our prices. So if that person makes $80,000 a year, divide that by 2,000 hours a year that people work, that works to $40 an hour. Okay, you follow the math on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now if I say my cost for any labor I do, either it's myself thinking I make $80,000 a year, or a technician I hire, they're going to make probably $80,000 a year. Okay, I got $40 I have to pay for each one of those hours somebody spends working on my projects or working on my managed services clients. So we have to apply a multiplier to that. And that multiplier is about 4.5 to 5.2.
Okay.
So we're going to take that 40 and multiply by, in this case, 4.5. That comes to $180. Okay, so in order for us to be profitable at the level the company needs, we'd need to charge $180. Okay, and why 4.5? Well, we know that we're only going to get 75% utilization in a vacuum. We pay them for 2,000 hours, they're going to bill 1,500 of them. So that's why 3 times, not 4 times. They're 4 times, not 3 times. So we're going to say 4, knowing that 75% of it's going to go away because they're not going to be billable utilized. We have to put that 0.5 on there to accommodate for when we mess up. Okay, we bid the project wrong. We over-delivered on that agreement. Lots of other scenarios. So if we start with, we got to do 4.5 times whatever our average pay is. In this case, it works out to $180. So if tomorrow a client comes to you or you come to a prospect and they say, hey, we want you to do this project, your only job is to say, how long is it going to take me to do? Okay. 10 hours? Mm-hmm. Cool. Times $180, $1,800. Now you have your price. Mm. Okay, does that make sense?
It does. Okay. Yeah, it does. Okay.
So then you get into that whatever a recurring revenue is. When you're pricing that, you're going to say, what's the cost of the tools that I'm going to put onto that client's network? Maybe it's $17, maybe it's $27. You got to mark that up 2 to 3 times, 200 or 300%. Then the harder part is saying, how much time do I think it's going to take me to serve that client in a month, in a year? And you multiply that by your $180, add on the cost of the tools, divide that out per month. There's your price we have to sell out in order to be profitable at the most reasonable level.
Okay.
And that's a lot to take in. Is that?
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna. The first part that you explained, I'm gonna remember that. But the second part, I might have to think about it. But Josh, you should write a book on this. You explain.
Well, if we knew each other better, I would say you're teasing me. That's my whole life. I have the book written. It's all in our vision system, in our database. We've got the whole playbook for this. So absolutely.
Yeah.
It's widely used and widely known. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure.
This is helpful to me.
Yeah, another reason people get excited about hearing your story is that you're starting from ground zero. So many people started in different places, and maybe they're 5 or 10 years into it, and they're not quite making the money that they deserve, and they're looking back and they're saying, wow, when I do my math, we're only charging $150 an hour, but my people cost me, $90,000 a year. No wonder I'm not making any money. Mm-hmm. Or I price my managed services so low, and we provide such great service, we put so many hours into them that our effective rate is like $90 an hour. So it's really a painful thing to watch people have to unwind the clock.
Yeah.
But at your position, you have that unique challenge of you want to get clients, you're going to be really sensitive to people saying you're too expensive, and the temptation is going to be to drag your rates down. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to really get that conviction of, if I'm in here just to serve, if that's my mission, Charge whatever you have to serve as many people as you want. If your mission is to make money, then charge as much as you can and make money. But most of us live a little bit in between. I love serving. I got to make a living. Finding that balance to say, this is what I'm worth. This is my conviction. And whatever anyone else in my market is charging, I got to ignore that. I have to be a good salesperson to help that person determine the value that we give, different than someone else cheaper. And I've got to have, that whole mission of I'm here to be profitable among the other things I'm trying to accomplish.
Right. Right.
Is this the kind of stuff that's been noodling around in your head of how do I balance all of this? Or
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, of course, when it comes to like the cybersecurity/IT comes natural. Yeah, but that business part, figuring that out, how much to charge, what rate, and don't feel guilty and drop your prices because I've done that before. Yeah, this makes sense.
Good. Yeah, that's a real conundrum in that first couple of years because your confidence in yourself and your business isn't as high as it will be in the future, and any sort of pushback on your price, we can hypnotize ourselves into believing that's true. They're right. I'm too expensive, and all we have to hear that a couple times, and it's going to get in our subconscious and really mess with us. So
Okay.
we got to come at that with, I've got a high conviction in what value I deliver. I'm not going to be the right fit for everybody, but those that see it, they're going to pay because they're going to know how valuable I am. And
Okay.
so it's a fun little journey. Okay, so we're thinking a little bit about pricing. We got to think a little bit about just that nasty QuickBooks that you probably purchased already. Have you purchased an accounting package yet?
No, I got the QuickBooks. I got the QuickBooks Online, the
Okay,
web
good.
version. Right. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
how do you have some experience in that? Is that kind of accounting stuff a little bit natural to you?
No, just by, man, that's a no. No, but I'm learning. I've found some good tax people here that actually helps me out. And of course, with the online banking, you're able to download your transactions, and then spread them, separate them in the expenses, and income, and then I send it to my tax people, and they kind of help with that. But yeah, as I get more and more clients and I grow, I'm going to need more and more day-to-day accounting. Hoping to not pawn it off, but delegate that to
There you go.
someone else. So hopefully that will be that will be the goal. As we move forward.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Yeah, there's a lot about that accounting piece. I got to do accounting that makes sure I can, do my taxes efficiently and accurately. I got to do it in a way that I can pay my sales tax if there isn't any in my state. I've got to do them in a way that I can actually understand if I'm profitable or not. And then there's that layer of I got to do them in a way that I can hear the story the numbers start telling me so that I can triangulate problems in the business.
Okay.
So it's a big journey. And I think coming at it with, hey, this isn't my native language. It's not what I came up doing. That's a good recognition. And the only piece that I think an owner really has to get strong in, because you're right, delegate that to an expert. But the ownership component, your role in this is saying, my only job around the accounting is to increase my financial literacy,
Okay.
right? Knowing the difference in gross profit and net profit, knowing the different types of revenue I have come in, knowing, what's a cog and what's an expense. You just building that knowledge earlier, sooner rather than later is going to help you turn that profit and loss statement into a business decision-making tool, not just a tax reporting tool.
Okay. Okay.
So, and that's, again, that's in our vision system, we do a lot of that training. So we'll make sure to get you introduced to that. But, Will, I'm just kind of feeling an interesting thing happening here, and it's me, not you. I'm feeling like you're really receptive to learning.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And I think it could be really fun to continue this conversation in this kind of live public facing format. And we can talk about it offline, but there's so many things that I wanted to kind of fast track you through that it'd be kind of fun if you were the audience to that, asking questions and participating on that, so that anyone who watches this can say, wow, I just got some free consulting listening to Josh and Will talk about the P&L, the financials, the pricing. So let's talk offline and see if that's a good idea or not.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think you're, like I said, you're so receptive to learning, and there's a lot to learn. And man, I think it could be fun. All right, give me as we start winding down here, what makes you really optimistic about this journey that you're starting on? What kind of makes you feel like, yeah, this is going to be a good thing? When I look back 5 years from now, I'll be really glad I did this.
Well, I have to start, internally, it's my commitment. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life, is to build this company. So it gives me cause. I have, a future. The future is bright. And it's something I really like to do. I've done computers, for 99% of my adult life, working life. And I feel like, I'm inspired by, my mom, she's passed, but she took me to see Star Wars when I was like 7 years old. And I've always been fascinated with computers and connecting things. Yeah, that's the basically the future for me is, working on this business, seeing it grow, and then hopefully, pass it on to my children. Yeah, succession plan. So, yeah, that's a goal for me.
Okay. How old are the kids right now, generally speaking? Are they
Yeah,
already
so we
adults?
got a set of twins that are in their 30s. I have a
Yeah.
28-year-old and a 24-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you build this in such a way, it could be just something they own and get the benefit from. It could be something they could operate as well. Like
Yeah.
a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, I've, I know my children probably hear this, but I have one son who he doesn't do IT, but he's an engineer, field engineer, and he probably would be a right fit, for this. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Well, that sounds like a really big purpose right there. Honoring mom, doing something you love, doing something you're familiar with, and having some legacy for the kids in some fashion.
definitely.
Yeah, if that's not enough to get your butt out of bed and make some cold calls every morning, I don't know what is. Well, that's awesome, Will. Well, listen, thanks for joining the pod. Where can people find you today?
They can find me online. I am on LinkedIn, and I do have a website. It's called ThirdEyeViewCorp.com, and there you can find my email and my telephone number. That's where I'll be.
Outstanding, man. Well, thanks for joining us and hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate this. I learned a lot. Thank you much.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you. And everyone, make sure to like and subscribe.